And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a two-player game called Kahuna. Now this is a game that I got many years ago. On the back it says more than 200,000 copies sold. And I believe it. This is a two-player game from Kosmos that was reprinted. It is a game that I reviewed a while ago. It's one that I enjoyed very much. A two-player kind of area control style game where you are an ancient sorcerer in the Pacific trying to dominate some islands that are all together. And so the theme is really kind of very, very weak and small, but that does not mean the game is bad. In fact, the game is great. Let me show you why. Players are going to be playing on this board here, which is made up of different islands: Kahu, Gola, Jojo, Ifi, Lali. You have different islands here, and each island has a certain number of spots to place bridges on it. So for example, Coco here has 1, 2, 3, 4 bridges that go out from it. Players are going to start with some cards in their hand, and on your turn, you can either play cards or not. It's up to you, and then draw a card and keep going. But you can't ever have more than 5 cards in your hand. Now when you play cards, you can play as many cards as you want. Usually when you play a card, you'll play one card. Here, this is Coco. And I'll place one of my bridges on one of the spots from Coco that I can place that are open. Maybe here's one from Barry. So I place in one here connecting Barry and Coco. And then I got Aloha here, and I might want to play that one over here. Now, as you place these, let's say you place a bridge that connects, that you control the majority of the bridges. There's 3 bridges that go to Aloha. I now have 2 of them. When that happens, I place one of my tokens here. And if my opponent had a bridge connected to that island, that's kicked off when I take control. So what could happen here? Let's say Black plays a bridge here, and a bridge here, and now a bridge here. He now controls Duda. So he puts one of his tokens here. That kicks my bridge off, which means I no longer control Aloha. So my token is taken off of there. You can also play 2 cards to take one of your opponent's bridges off. Let's say here, I want to get rid of this bridge right here from my opponent. I can either play 2 Duda cards, or I could play a Duda and an Eli card, or 2 Eli cards. So let's say I play the Duda and Eli card. This comes off, and again, my opponent loses control of that island. And then if I had another Duda or Eli card, I could put one bridge there myself. So this is going to go back and forth. Now there's a very rare thing, I've actually never seen it happen, that if you lose all your bridges, you lose the game. Otherwise, you'll go to the deck runs out. At that point, you see who has more control tokens on the board. The player with more control tokens gets a point. You then shuffle the cards, do it again, and then the second round when you go through, whoever has more control tokens gets 2 points. And then you go through and you play a third time, and then at that point you get points equal to the difference. So if at the end of the game White had 4 and Black had only 1 control token, then White would get 3 points in the final round. Whoever has the most points is the winner. If there is a tie, whoever had the higher score during the final scoring counts. That's how you play. Now I've always liked Kahuna. Ever since I first played it, one of the things I like is that the cards you'll see here there's a yellow dot and a red dot. That's great because you can rotate the card. You just rotate the one towards you. The board has those same dots on it, so you know how to rotate it, and it shows you exactly where the island is. Because even though they're named silly names, Gola and Fa and Koka, you know, they have these odd names, but it's easy to look and see exactly where they are. The game is one of give and take. You don't want to show your hand too early, but you want to take control of as many islands as you can. But if you take control too early, you got to be careful that the islands are connected to, that you don't lose control of those islands, because this game has this chain reaction style thing. Like, I took control of this island, ha ha ha, boom, now you lost control of that island and that island. And there's that back and forth. Playing 2 cards to take an opponent bridge off seems expensive in a game that has very few cards. But it still will happen over the course of this game, and because there's that time where you need to take over. Having a hand limit of 5 cards is also good because it would keep people from just storing up all the cards and playing them at once. So you have to kind of show what you're going to do. But there's a lot of draw, 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 draw. Okay, now I play. Now we draw, draw, now I play. And back and forth. The components for the game are fine, although I do miss the original control tokens that were in the game. Had a little hands on them like you control that island. I do miss those. Although the box is fine, the board is, it does look a little bit different, but it's very clear. It's cool looking. There actually was a 4-player version of this that I had a lot of fun with, but the 2-player one is fine, and it's very quick back and forth as you fight for these. This is one of those games that I've played many, many times, and I'm never quite sure who's going to win each time. It is an excellent, excellent style game, one that I recommend. There's the other games in this series include Lost Cities, and that's probably the best game of the series, but Kahuna is right up there with it. And it's a game I think a lot of people ignore because they don't really know what it is. When you look at it, just a bunch of sticks and circles. But it's that when to control an island and watching the domino effect as you control them. And, you know, sometimes it's just, there's that moment in Kahuna that happens often where you're like, boom, 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 boom. And I love when that happens, well, especially when it happens to help me out. So this is one I recommend you checking out, Kahuna. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.